Hi guys. In this video we'll look at using low shelf EQ to balance the bass levels between different elements in our mashups. When setting up a live template, we discussed how having the low shelf band on an EQ is vital to avoid low frequency clutter and confusion on the dance floor when multiple elements mix together. That's why when we set up the template, we made sure that there's a low shelf EQ on every single track. So let's take a little bit more of a look at how bass balance works. As a general rule, when two tracks that contain bass information are playing together, such as a main track and a break track, each track will be mixed and produced with its ideal amount of low frequency already in there. It's this low frequency information that creates the power and foundation of the song. In dance music, the low end area of the frequency spectrum is almost always reserved for just two instruments, the kick drum and the bass. When producing or mixing dance music, most producers actually put high-pass filters on every single instrument except the kick and bass, because they want to leave them plenty of room. If you think of a single track playing on its own as containing 100% of the potential bass energy, consider that when you mix two tracks together, you'll have 200% bass energy, which is more than the dance floor can handle. Things will start to sound overly bassy, and it will be hard to tell which piece of music is the dominant one. In the example here, it would be great to have 8 bars of lead-in before the breakdown to prepare the listener for the feelings that are going to be introduced in the breakdown. However, if we don't use bass balancing, there's going to be way too much bottom end coming in, even if the incoming track is volume automated down quite a bit. You can hear that that's incredibly messy, with way too much bottom end coming through from both tracks. It makes it sound thick and muddy, and it confuses the emotion of the mashup. With bass balancing, we can let some of its top end instruments and vibe come through, without dominating the track that's already playing. So, either one track should have the bass pulled out completely, or each track should sit at around 50% bass. Through experimenting, particularly with mashups, you'll notice that the feeling and the illusion of the music will be dominated by whichever track is permitted the most bass presence. For pairs that contain different root notes, scales, energy levels, emotion, or rhythmic patterns, the track with the larger percentage of bass will ultimately decide which one is felt more on the dance floor. This means that performing volume fading between two elements and performing bass fading are actually different functions, which produce different results. DJs use this to great effect when transitioning from one song to another live, because they can use bass balance to switch the dominance from one song to the next, either very gradually or very obviously. You want to use the same kind of theory when dealing with mashups. Have a listen to this example where we switch over the bass frequencies from one track to the other. See if you can notice the feeling of the music change as one track starts to dominate the other. With this in mind, remember that transitions in or out of breaks must be treated with this bass reduction, as must hinting loop sections played over a main track. We'll get to what hinting loops are a little later. Even if you're already using a high-pass filter to gradually shift the bass in or out of an element, it's still a good idea to use your low shelf during these transitions to make sure you're not overloading the mashup with too much bass. You'll find yourself using the low shelf as a bass balance during almost every type of transition. In the next video, we'll look at reverse reverbs, an effect which can really help prepare the listener for a new element to come in. Thanks for watching.